One's still
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got it.
Yes. I know it's fun. Yeah. Good view of how he hits that.
Got it. Mary hits it after every item. It's really loud.
She does, doesn't she? Yeah, she does.
Poised, here you go. 6 o'clock.
No, Rouse will go early.
Glass of water, Tony?
Yeah, righto, thanks. Yeah, I've got a coffee too.
Welcome everybody. Declare the meeting open and advise that we'll be digitally recording for the purpose of to assist in our minutes and accurate records as well as live streaming. The Circular Head Council acknowledges the North West Tasmanian Aboriginal people as the traditional custodians of the country in which we stand, meet and play. We recognise their continuing connection to the land, waters and community. We pay respect to elders past, present and emerging. Attendance, apologies, leave of absence. If you could be upstanding for prayers, and please stay upstanding at the end of prayers, please.
Let us take a moment to clear our minds and focus on achieving outcomes that serve the greater good of the whole community. May light illuminate all present and support everyone to bring their highest and best selves to the debate and the decisions made here tonight.
Thank you. I'd ask if we could have a moment's silence for the late Heather Gray, who was a councillor here on council from 2007 through to 2011. She also had 30 plus years on the Western Area Committee and varying other committee roles within the Marriwal-Redbar area. So we could have a moment's silence, please. Thank you, councillors. Right. 2.1, confirmation of the minutes of Thursday, 12th of December 2024. Could I have a mover and a seconder that they be noted as a true record? Councillor Dabner, seconded by Deputy Mayor. No debate. Put the motion, those in favour.
Aye.
Against, carried. Any declarations of interest from any councillors? Thank you. 4.1, Mayor's Communications. Any questions on any of those? Councillor Hine?
Yeah, question on the top one of the 4.1, meeting with Greenhams. Was there any discussion there on the effluent dump at Stanley at that meeting? And if so, can you give us a rundown?
No, there was a rundown on which the General Manager and myself attended. On Councillor Flowers had indicated that it would be a good idea if they invited us along, and they just give us a rundown on their plans in the near future as far as buildings and increasing what they're doing there. So no, short answer is no. It was about their plans going forward.
So the question that wasn't instigated or talked about, like you didn't bring it up then, once we've had the meeting?
Short answer is no.
No, thank you.
They drove the meeting on what they wanted to put forward there. Any further? I'll need a mover and a seconder that they be noted, please. Thanks, Councillor Collins. Second, Councillor Flowers. No debate. Put the motion, those in favour.
Aye.
Against, carried. One workshop there. Can we have a mover and a seconder that they be noted as well, please? Councillor Dabner. Councillor Collins. No debate. I'll put the motion, those in favour.
Aye.
Against, carried. No. 5.1, none. 5.2. Little note. Council encourage community participation in its meetings through the providing the opportunities for public questions and statements consistent with Council's core values. Councils and staff strive to ensure all people are treated with courtesy, fairness and dignity and respect, and we expect our residents and ratepayers to apply similar standards in dealing with councillors. As Mayor, it is my responsibility to maintain the orderly conduct of the council meeting and determine whether a question or statement is out of order due to use of offensive, objectionable or defamatory language. I ask members of the public to show proper consideration and courtesy, and tonight I intend to give everyone who's here the opportunity to ask 2 questions or make a statement. There's no planning, so that's not relevant. So if anyone wishes to ask a question, make a statement.
Yes, I'll explain the vote.
Okay, thank you. That was a nice read then. Right, we've got nothing else received there. No planning. 7.3, councillors' questions without notice. Councillor Oldacre.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I've made some notes, so I didn't leave any out tonight. First of all, the footpath on Montague Road out here, that was done in early December. I noticed that there's 2 patches either side of Mr Gray's place that have not been done, and there might have been a reason why they didn't do it, but it seems odd that it's not completed by now.
Yeah, through you, Mr Mayor. Those pieces of footpath were left out waiting for Telstra to come and adjust the height of Telstra assets.
So if we've got to wait for Telstra, we've got to wait 12 months, have we, or what?
No comment.
Things have gone down in the recent years.
Thank you, sir, for that answer. The other one, I had a number of people come to me about Hale Street in Stanley. What I said to them, it's about that there's been 2 of those units out of the caravan park been put on the same block. There's a house there. My understanding, the only way that could happen, it would have to have stratum titles if those units have been put on some blocks. When I went and drove down Hale Street and had a look, there's also some caravans there that they're all living in, and bikes and boats and things like parked out on the street. I think it's time that somebody had an inspection, but I would be interested to know, was through the planning scheme, to put those units there, did they turn that block in stratum titles, and there's a process they would have to go through? But that's what the question's been about, what they're asking.
Yeah, you have to take that question on notice.
Thank you.
Come back. Thanks, John.
We'll come back.
Yep.
Yesterday we received an email from Matthew, from the local government business, and it's the same stuff in it that was in the Liberal Party wanting to change local government. In the local government reforms about training before you become a councillor. Right? What I want to know is who in local government is driving that?
Without going specifically, there's a number of councils / people that are talking about it. That is scheduled for our council to discuss it in detail for, help me...
One of the February workshops.
One of the February workshops, so that we can go through that in detail at that point in time. It has been talked about.
Because I expressed the point of view here at the workshop, and I'll continue to express that point of view, because it does make me really crabby.
Which is entirely your right and to do so. But we'll get a chance to have a talk about that during the workshop. But there certainly has been talk around it through Legat and some councils for quite a while.
The next question is, where are we at with the waste? I know there's a workshop supposed to be coming on, but dealing with Dolberton, whatever they call themselves, is where is things at with that? Because we keep getting questions dropped at us, what's going on, with White Hills, what are they building the shed? And I said, well, until we've had a workshop, we're not really know, or we know what has been proposed, but there's a pushback against that because, you know, you're right alongside Deep Creek, which carries the town water.
Yeah, through you, Mr Mayor, the options assessment for where we position a new commercial transfer station facility is still underway. Current plan is to come back to a workshop in February to present that to councillors for discussion.
Thank you. Last question. Tony asked if we sort of really mucked it up.
I was going to call you,
Oh,
councillor.
that's not fair. Come on,
Nice, isn't it?
That's right.
Are you aware that either Tasports, Taswater, had some discussions with Green, and they're talking about pulling that truck wash out altogether and either sending it to King Island or it's going to Devonport?
No, I was not aware.
Because it is frustrating them to no end.
Through you, Mr Mayor, we're very close to the end of the process. We still require some further information from the proponent, from Taswater, and we're pretty close to the end of the process.
Thank you.
So, yes, councillor Hyde? No,
As a follow-up to John then, you say you were very close. Have we got a time frame on that we can report back to Greenhams or anything like that as far as getting finality of that?
Through you, Mr Mayor, there is no time frame yet, but wherever they put it, they will need to go through the same permit process. So moving it is probably not productive. It's not going to shorten anything.
Can you or can we at some stage of the game then have a discussion with the people on it, because a very brief look at the problem today. On page 4.1, it's got approvals and permits, and there's nowhere in that I can find that there's actually a permit required for plumbing. Now, whether there's somewhere else within the document, that's it just said 4.1 approvals and permits. And so
Which document are you referring
the
to?
Cradle Coast document that was at the base of the construction and
Yes.
all that of this.
And councillor, as I explained in the workshop, I explained the background to that, which is not for open discussion in a public meeting.
Thank you. Righto. So can I signal that
Yes.
in the closed meeting?
Yes.
Thank you.
Councillor Collins?
Through you, Mr Mayor. I was just wondering if there's any sort of quality control on the footpaths that are being done around the different municipalities or areas. There's quite a few in Stanley that actually have big cracks through them between the expansion joints that have been done in December, and they've already got 2 or 3 millimetre cracks, and nearly in every one, particularly along Fletcher Street.
Yep. I know we put with that.
I'll put a CSN.
That's CSM is in for that, but the first part of your question, James, about the quality control?
Yeah, through you, Mr Mayor, there is quality control in place. They're inspected almost daily, and those defects, the cracks in the footpath, have all been picked up, and the contractor has been made aware of those and will rectify.
Thank you.
Councillor Flowers?
The federal Labor government's just stated they're going to give Circular Head $620,000 now, if they're re-elected. Now, is that building that they're going to put that money in, will that belong to council, or would that?
No, that was, and it's badly reported, that's actually rural health. They've got the money to do there.
So Circular Head Council's got nothing to do?
No, not with that. Now, that's one of the medical centre is one of our priorities.
Yep.
But that's not it, that's to do with the rural health one.
Yep.
The announcement yesterday.
And also depreciation. Who's enforcing that? Is that a state government setup, or is that a federal government setup?
Through Mr Mayor, that's the Australian Accounting Standards Board that we all have to follow.
So that has come through federal government?
Good question. Possibly. We all have our own, yes, it would be federal government.
I'm
Because
just,
we all have our own state auditors general, so we have an audit office in each state, but then they have an Australian National Audit Office, and the standards would, yes, I reckon they would be national.
yeah, just that with upcoming election, would be good for one of these federal parties to try and bend and twist the rules a bit on that depreciation, because that's screwing this municipality to the ground. Like, that's what I brought up about that 620,000. Well, the depreciation on that 620,000 is about a 1% increase in our rates. And majority of people out there don't understand that. They say, oh, well, rates are going up, but the rates are going up through things that's out of our control. We never had this years ago. I can't remember having it back when I was on council in 20 odd years ago.
I do know, Councillor Flowers, that it's come up from time to time through Legat, and there's been some discussions about it. We can certainly take it through there again, and you won't get it. I'd suggest that most councils in Australia would agree with you, but someone's got to make that call outside of the councils.
And I think, through Mr Mayor too, to actually get something that's digestible to put before either politicians or the Accounting Standards Board, you want a hell of a lot of research and evidence-based stuff to back that up, because there's standards a mile long that cover every different type of depreciation there could be known to man. So it'd be a body of work if you were going to do something like that we'd have to invest time and money into to get an evidence base to be able to put forward.
I was about to add to that is that if you want to go down that path, it's too late for this election.
Yeah.
But it would be a motion to play it to Legat to get them to do on behalf of all the councils to do that body of work that Mate's just talking about.
Would it be in our interest, or do you reckon we're wasting our time? Someone with some brains.
I reckon we're wasting our time. I've been 100% honest, but it's certainly there's certainly a case for some changes within the high level depreciation stuff, e.g. personal opinion, grant money. If you look at the swirl, for example, a council or our council could not do another one of those without the grant money. So we shouldn't really have to be depreciating that grant money away. Our own money we should, but that grant money, so there's a case of some, I don't know, levers or whatever to be shoved, but it wouldn't be an easy apply. And the way to do it would be to try and go through the gap.
Yeah. No, just the grant money, realistically, we're paying it back anyway.
Yeah.
They get a all fuzzy feeling and giving us some grant money, but in the next 10 years we're going to pay it all back. They're not saying that.
Well, we're not down over, but it's coming off our bottom line, yes.
Yes.
Yep. Yep. Thanks, Councillor Flowers.
No worries, thank you.
Councillor Hine, you look keen.
I've got another one, thanks. Got a letter here that the Northern Management Group sent to the Council on the 23rd of May 2022. It's to do with the getting some inquiring about some of the area of land of Tatlows Beach and et cetera, and the basis was, looking at the possibility of putting a bike pump track there back in 2022. The question is, can I or we as councillors request to have a workshop discussion with at least 4 representatives from the Northern Management Group and 4 representatives from the Stanley Chamber of Commerce to discuss and have a good thorough discussion on at least 4 topics. And those topics I'm suggesting is this letter. 2, where to with Kings Park upgrades. 3 is where are we at and what's the projection as far as Church Street upgrades. And there's another one that I'll put forward as a suggestion in closed session.
We can, through you, Mr Mayor, we can certainly have a workshop discussion.
It won't, but I'd suggest, Councillor Hine, won't be real quick. There's a fair bit on the stuff, February, March, and then we're getting into budgeting.
Yep.
So, yes, we can be scheduled, but it's not going to happen in the next couple of months.
could I just query that one in a way that could we just look at this letter then and try and get a response back in the meantime? It's to do with the open space, and we're talking about open space and that sort of thing. And so it's a bit, now that we've got the open space pretty well on the way.
We've adopted the open space, and that would have to be in addition to it because that wasn't in the open space.
This was part of it, but at least I do have a copy of the staff response back to it, but it's not a council response, and I think we as a council should respond back to it.
Once again, we've adopted the open space strategy, which we're working on. We'd have to go back and revisit that if we're going to change it. Then nothing will happen anyway for a period of time.
We can have a workshop discussion.
Yep.
Thank you.
So once again, though, the workshop discussion can be there, but it's not going to happen in the next couple of months.
Well, following, how do we bring that forward then as a council?
We don't. We've got enough to do. Any further questions? If not, we'll move on. Notice of motions. Report of 9.1, financials.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Councillors, before you we have the finance reports for the period ended 31 December 2024. We received no applications for the first homeowners grants, acknowledging only one in total for this year, which is very much down on the past 10 years. In terms of the comprehensive income statement on page 19, the actual year-to-date is a surplus of 3.3 million compared to a year-to-date budget of 1.7, leading up to the budgeted loss of 2.4 million for the year. So we've received most of our rates for the year. We just had one instalment left, so that's why that balance will stay high for the first part of the year and then dwindle off down to the deficit as June approaches. We've also got in the notes underneath the profit and loss statement some more notations down there to explain the variances above, including the materials and contracts one, which has variances from month to month. In terms of the statement of financial position, we've currently got community equity of $280.7 million, which is predominantly made up of infrastructure, property, plant and equipment of 238 million. In terms of the cash flow, we've currently got a cash at the end of the period of 21.6 million. In terms of the receivables, we've got a proportion uncollected of rates of 19.52, which is very much higher than the 11.93 at the same time last year. Sundry debtors is very much lower. At this point in time, we still had that $600,000, I think, in grant funding sitting mostly in there for most of last financial year, so that has thrown it out a bit. So that's good that the 60 plus days is down to 89,000. In terms of the bank rec and the cash at bank, on page 23, we've got the term deposits there and the rates that we're currently getting on those. And we've got the area reports for each of the service areas and the cash graph. So I'll take any questions, Mr Mayor, and present it for Council's consideration.
Thank you. Any questions? Councillor Pilkington?
I note that we now do list depreciation, but I'm wondering whether we could have an account that shows what goes into depreciation and what comes out. And depreciation's there to cover things that expire, and we should have a rolling account that shows when something's expired and the money comes back.
We don't do things by reserves. Sorry, Mr Mayor, you're talking about sort of reserve accounting, which is sort of probably an old way of doing things. There's two functions to depreciation. One is that we see it as a thing to fund the replacement of assets, but it's also the consumption of an asset. So under accounting standards, it's like you have a vehicle and you depreciate it over 10 years because that's the life of it. You consume $1,000 each year of that over 10 years, and that's what represents the consumption of an asset. So that's where the accounting standards come in. So, yeah, how you're talking about is reserve accounting, and we don't actually do that. So,
So the depreciation account keeps growing
yes.
regardless of...
And that's where our long-term asset management plan comes into it, our strategic asset management plan and the long-term financial plan, because that'll have the dollars in there that show you whether we're actually sustainable longer term and we can fund our asset renewals. So it's the whole two of them together. There's a fly buzzing around. The whole two of them together tell the picture or tell the story about whether we're sustainable or not in terms of funding our assets from reserves, basically.
And I agree with Rodney's proposition that we should go through the account.
Yeah.
Yep. So we'll get a chance when we go through this. We're going to do some long-term financial stuff shortly, aren't we?
We're doing a lot of different stuff shortly, so, yeah.
Which will be a chance to probably investigate
Yeah.
or go across what you're talking about.
I think we'll come
a
back
bit
to
more.
some first principles on what depreciation is and what it does, and then have a look at the accounting standard and see what that actually represents, and see if you want to take it any further from there, because it's a battlefield.
It is a battlefield. Any more questions? Do I have a move and a second to that report? Thanks, Deputy Mayor. Seconded, Councillor Collins. Put the motion. Those in favour?
Aye.
Against, carried. 9.2, Waste Management Annual Report. General Manager.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Councillors, this annual report from Cradle Coast Waste Management Group is presented for your information to give you some of the background on what has been achieved by that group over the year and some of the things that they are looking to do and how they are measuring their activity and the environmental impact of what they're doing. The CEO is coming to a workshop in the next couple of months, which will give you an opportunity to ask questions directly if you have any about this or any other waste matter. So I present the report.
Thanks, General Manager. Any questions, Councillor Hine?
Yes, you've sort of half answered the question already, but the last dot point on page 31, establishment of agreement with the Big Bag Recovery Stewardship Scheme, and they're particularly looking at aquaculture industry. Can we put on as a request that they also give us a report on where to with the bulk bag, single bulk bag use in the agricultural industry? There's a massive amount that's used for that, and they've only got a single use, and it's. So could I request that we get an answer on that? Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Councillor Hine. Any further questions? If not, if I had a move and a second that that report be noted, please. Moved, Councillor Dabner, seconded. Councillor Collins. No further debate. Put the motion. Those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. 9.3, Senior Management Report.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. As usual, the communities teams have been very active. Would you
Sure, I will.
Thank you.
I'll just foreshadow some events coming up shortly. The Mayor's Educational Fund, Australia Day Awards and Day on the Duck, all events that you're well aware of. But I'd like to make particular mention in the arts, the youth section of the Arts Tasmania grant of around $11,000 that has been received, and Zoe Gray, a local artist who's doing very well for herself, has come to town and run a workshop today with 10 young people. Some 5 young boys involved as well in creating some excellent art today. And in April there was a 4-day road trip, if you like, of art galleries, ending up in having a tour of her studio. And that's through a grant and good work of the staff of this organisation. So I think that's quite a unique and interesting event and great engagement with the young people. So thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Any questions around the report? Councillor Flowers?
Council Depot will be closed from the 17th of April. What about the offices here? Are we having a council meeting on the 17th of April?
No.
That was that was changed, wasn't it?
That's the one.
Council offices and depot, so that's the whole staff.
Yep.
So it's not just the depot. And the council meeting, that was on an email sent out a couple of weeks last week, will be moved to Thursday the 10th.
And we'll pick up any extra workshop as we require.
Yeah.
Just that I'm off for 2 months and that's my 3rd month. And I don't know whether I'm going to be back on the 10th.
Sorry, got a through, Mr Mayor. I think there was a leave of absence.
For 2 months or 3?
We can check that when we go through
Yes.
that.
We can adjust it as we go through.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? If not, could I have would I move in a second that they be noted, please? Thanks, Deputy Mayor. Seconded, Councillor Pilkington. Put the motion, those in favour?
Aye.
Against, carried. Now, we've got some minutes here from the Community and Recreation Centre, including an AGM. Do we need to treat that as a separate one?
Well, Mr Mayor, it's 12 months old.
It is. So, yeah, we'll just deal with one yet. And the standing town hall. So, is any questions or comments on any of those minutes? Thank you, Councillor Oldacre.
Mr Mayor, on the recreation one, the last two monthly meetings minutes are there. We had a meeting last night also. Before anybody starts asking the question about the electronic sign, Isaac has been down and had a look at it with the new manager, and they've got power there, but it still don't work. So they're waiting for Isaac to get in touch with the infrastructure officer from here, which is Norman Berkeley, because they've got to get down there and they've got to pull part of now. What will happen from there, I've got no idea. But that, anybody asks why it's not working, they have attempted to fix it, and that's is why.
Thank you. Further questions or comments? If not, could I have
And their brothers.
a move and a seconder that they be noted, those minutes be noted, please? Councillor Dabner, seconded Councillor Flowers. Put the motion, those in favour?
Aye.
Against, carried. Now I need the resolve by absolute majority that the matters listed be considered in closed meeting. So if I have a mover and a seconder for that, please. Thanks, Deputy Mayor. Seconded, Councillor Pilkington. Put the motion, those in favour? Aye. Against, carried. And now I need a motion to close, by absolute majority, to close the public meeting. Moved Councillor Dabner, seconded Councillor Collins. I'll put the motion, those in favour.
Aye.
Against, carried.